Welcome to In the Know with Lolo Knows. And today's episode, we are unpacking the P Diddy case from hip hop mogul to legal turmoil and diving deep into a complex and pressing issue. The legal troubles surrounding Sean P. Diddy Combs will explore his significant contributions to the music industry and the serious allegations he currently faces. Oh, guys, this is something else. I'll tell you what, 2024 has been definitely a year of truth. A year of truths I don't think any of us were prepared to hear. A lot of us speculated in back in the day, I've had friends in the industry who live in the California area who have worked around these celebrities to know a lot of the ins and outs of the way that um, industry works, both professionally and behind the scenes. And even when I was hearing some of these allegations, like back in the day, it was really hard to hear. Matter of fact, okay, R. Kelly, for instance, a lot has been surfacing about his behavior through the whole 90s. And then by 2002, that him urinating on the girl in the video, that had came out. But then it was years after that, where he was indicted and charged and jailed for those things he did. Now, fast forward, we're seeing P Diddy in a similar situation, probably much, and it sounds like a lot. I mean, I can't even compare which is worse, because they're both that bad. You know what I mean? They're both equally bad, but in different ways. I mean, there seems to be a lot more entailed with P Diddy, with these sex trafficking charges, and everything else that just came into play. As of the other day, he was charged in New York, and he has to stay in jail. His bail was denied, and now he has to stay in jail until his trial. So, if it came down to that and they said, you know what, we don't want your money, we want you here, because now you're a flight risk. We don't want to take that chance. It's like, and that's what I'm thinking to myself, man, what would happen, if he had, fled, this whole thing? Would they have to extradite him back? Somebody on the legal channel, let me know, how would that operate if he had went to another country? Would they be able to extradite him back, and probably would make it even worse, for him? But he stayed here, obviously, and now he is going to be punished through the trial, and we'll see what happens with that. Now, let's go with the background. Let's go back into Diddy's history, because he is such a significant figure. And I have made some notes here. I took a lot of notes because there is a lot to unpack here. So, but first, I'm going to have me a little glass of wine. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. But honey, I got to unpack all this. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay. So let's start with his background. Sean Combs, also known as P. Diddy, was born on November 4th, 1969 in Harlem, New York. He grew up in a vibrant musical environment and quickly made a name for himself in the industry. Now, after attending Howard University, which was the university I got accepted into and wanted to go to after I graduated high school. What a great university. He began his career as an intern at Uptown Records, eventually founding Bad Boy Records in 1993. P. Diddy played a pivotal role in popularizing East Coast hip hop, launching the careers of iconic artists like the Notorious B.I.G. and Faith Evans. His innovative approach to music videos and marketing transformed the landscape of hip hop, making him a prominent figure, not just in music, but in fashion and entertainment as well. Launched Maze's career. And remember what happened with Maze? Maze obviously distanced himself from him for a long time and then found God. You know what I mean? Like, but a lot of these people didn't talk. A lot of people talked a little bit, you know, but they didn't like, nobody really fully came out, you know, and, you know, to say what he did. Matter of fact, I have a friend, even to this day. She worked for a very prominent agency, and I won't name any names. I won't name her name because honestly, she told me these things in confidence. And even at the time that she told me these rituals, these Hollywood rituals, and these things, these very dark ritualistic things, I'm gonna be honest, I was in disbelief. I was like, what? Really? And sometimes if you're going in the rabbit hole down into the internet can make up so much stuff. You know what I mean? You don't know what to believe until there is hard, concrete evidence, some real allegations coming about. And you had people like Jaguar Wright, who had obviously, you know, she just came out with a video recently reacting to his arrest and reacting to the fact that he is in jail and he was denied bail. And she is very happy about that. And probably would like an apology from all the millions of people who doubted her, you know, because she was one of the whistleblowers. And, you know, it's and then you had somebody like Cat Williams who came out and spoke his truth on you know, that talk show on YouTube. I can't even remember his name. Shit. I'm gonna cut that out. But anyway, now it's really sad because a lot of us are probably going to be feeling really duped, even though, you know, this man has made hit after hit after hit. I mean, who doesn't know some Diddy songs? Even after all of this, all of these allegations, are you still going to listen to P. Diddy's music? You know, a lot of people stopped listening to R. Kelly, but a lot of people are still listening to R. Kelly. You know, I mean, it makes you think that there is just this darkness that is prevailing over light. And you're going to have people turning a blind eye to what's really going on, and because they don't want to be involved, they don't want to be the person to tell. They're afraid that something's going to happen to them. But now all of this swirling around Tupac, he got arrested exactly 4 days after Tupac's murder date, after Tupac's death. Is that a coincidence? I'd say that's energy lining itself up. That's fate. I mean, woo, let's get into some of these legal challenges that Mr. Diddy is facing. He's facing multiple civil lawsuits, each containing disturbing accusations. One of the most notable is from singer Cassie Ventura, who filed a lawsuit last November. She alleges a decade of abuse, including sex trafficking, sexual assault, and forced drug use. What's striking is that just one day after filing, Cassie settled the lawsuit, but this has opened the door for other alleged victims to come forward. So she opened that door. She opened the door for these folks to come forward with their own stories. You know, you've got people on one hand, they're saying, you know, this is a money grab. You got other, these are real victims sharing some real stuff that happened to them that they were sworn never to tell. And if they did, it might be their life, including my friend. She was very afraid to say anything about that, about anything. She told me these things in confidence years ago, even though I thought it was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But she was right. You know, I know there are people out there who will just spread rumors, you know, for the sake of, you know, a story. But this is some serious stuff. You know, we're talking sex trafficking, we're talking multiple physical, mental, emotional abuse. And we're talking about decades of abuse. And that's, you know, this man really believed he was never going to get caught. The more money he had, the more power he had. Now, what's this teaching all of us? Do you really have that much power? Even with all of that money? Let's not forget, Miss Diddy's a billionaire. Okay? Ain't gonna be a billionaire for long after all these lawsuits and after what they're gonna get from him. I'm feeling for the kids right now. The kids got to be going through it. You've got, you know, also Jaguar Wright claims, I mean, there's multiple people out there that claim that he killed Kim Porter, that there's some foul play there, and that people need to, you know, look into that. The Tupac case, people want, you know, should look into that. Why, hold on. And bringing me to that, let's go into what I found from Suge Knight. So let's go into some of the things that he is facing. There's also a hotel surveillance video that we all saw, 2016, that reportedly shows Diddy violently attacking Cassie at a hotel in Los Angeles. Oh my goodness, that video is etched into my mind. In the footage, he's seen grabbing her, dragging her, and even kicking her. Shortly after, Diddy released an apology video admitting to his actions. Well, duh, you're in the video. And expressing regret. This incident underscores the gravity of the allegations against him. Now, there's some broader allegations. In addition to Cassie's allegations, Diddy faces lawsuits from others. For example, a music producer claims Diddy coerced him into soliciting prostitutes. Another woman alleges she was trafficked and raped by Diddy when she was just 17. Ooh. Don Richard, a former member of Danity Kane, has also accused Diddy of sexual assault and creating inhumane working conditions. These allegations paint a troubling picture of Diddy's behavior over the years. You know what? I can't help but think of the Joker. Do you remember before all these allegations came out, and he did that really convincing, you know, role of Joker. And it was like during like Halloween, but we all saw it on his page and even on socials, the news covered and everything. Everybody was so like, oh my goodness, he is really good. Or was he showing us who he really was before all of this came about? I will say this. If that were me, if I was Cassie, seeing that seeing that convincing Joker, that obviously very disturbed man, very abusive, disturbed man, showing his violent, evil side through a character. And then after that, she probably internalized that. Anybody would, and say, you know what, enough's enough. I need to tell my story. I need to get something from this situation for me to be able to move on. She obviously wanted some payment in exchange for not telling her story. He probably refused because he thought, you ain't gonna do nothing, blah, blah, blah. She ended up doing it anyway. I'm just speculating. That's all. We're having fun with this, but I'm just saying. And she definitely took matters in her own hands. And you know what? But it took love, true love, that amazing force for her to get strong again, to be able to, press charges on her abuser. Now, this paints, honestly, to me, a bigger picture of where we are in the landscape of our world here in America. I can't speak for any place else because I don't live there. I'm talking about here. The misogyny, the patriarchy, and how much it stands, and how women are starting to wake up and not, they're starting to fear for their lives. Some have stopped dating altogether. Some are not even trying to entertain a relationship. Some have even made decisions to procreate on their own through, obvious artificial insemination if they want, or not having kids at all. Because I hate to break it to you, but on a collective level, all women think men are dangerous. On a collective level. I'm not saying every single, but on a collective level. There's a vast majority of women coming forward and are afraid to get in a relationship with a man who is going to be like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't know what you're going to get. Like I said, this story is bigger if you really think about it. But we can examine those things at another time. But here's what I have just uncovered. Here's what's been said. Some of the individuals involved in these lawsuits are cooperating with federal investigators. The media coverage has been extensive, yet the entertainment industry has remained surprisingly quiet. Why are you quiet out there, y'all? Were y'all a part of those freak-offs? They probably got your name by now. They probably already seen the video. They can just come out now and just, either speak their truth or get their healing, if it's still affecting them. Maybe some of them don't even remember. Remember, they were talking about how much they were drugged and all the baby oil that they recovered. Oh. Ooh. It's, this is some stuff. This is some stuff. But Suge Knight, here's what's interesting. Suge Knight, who was in the car when Tupac died, when Tupac was murdered. Why is he expressing sympathy for Diddy? Highlighting the broader implications for hip hop culture. It raises important questions about how the industry addresses such serious allegations. Like, that's what kind of got me a little, why do you have sympathy for Diddy? Were you guys in it together to get rid of Tupac? Did you both have your hand in the pie? Both are criminals. One's sitting in jail, the other's waiting to go to jail. Actually, in jail now without bail. Might be staying in there for the foreseeable future. Interesting. Something to think about. Now, the fallout from these allegations is significant. Diddy was recently hit with a $100 million default judgment after failing to respond to allegations from a Michigan inmate who accused him of drugging and sexually assaulting him back in 1997. Oh my goodness. Following the raids related to the investigation, Diddy was tracked to various locations, including a private jet to Antigua and outings in Miami. The Miami Beach Commission even rescinded a proclamation honoring him, citing a misalignment with community values. This serves as a reminder of the shifting public sentiment regarding accountability for powerful figures. I mean, these allegations against Sean P. Diddy Combs are serious and multifaceted. They shine a light on broader issues of accountability, victim support, and the culture within the entertainment industry. This is it is a sad day for hip hop. Because here we now realize there was a darker issue. There was a darker issue there for a long time. Now, back in 2002, between, was it 1999 and 2002, I was connected with Snoop Dogg. I've been connected with a few celebrities. I used to be a background concert dancer. I used to do, various shows. I also did, I also had friends in the industry, and I got to meet a lot of people. But 2002 is a year, because I was flown out to New Orleans by Snoop's team, because I was going to be performing at the House of Blues in New Orleans. I had just did the Chicago show for Snoop, and at that time he was doing some collaborations with Pharrell, and before all that jumped off, he was just really performing and doing his thing. He even performed some of the tracks that him and Tupac did together, and which was really special. And Snoop is a really cool guy. We had a lot of fun, and we were friends. I like to say we were friends. And when I got the opportunity to go to New Orleans, I did that, and I stayed in a suite, right down the hall from his suite and some of the, some of his crew suite. And it was, it was, how do I say this? There's a lot of activity, especially Super Bowl weekend. That was a wild weekend. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a good weekend, but I got to be in a room. I got to be in rooms with all celebrities all the time. I was staying on the same floor. Nelly was there. Trina was there. Redman was there. I mean, Cedric the Entertainer was there. There's so many people that were at this party. And we went to Sean P. Diddy Combs' fashion show event at his Sean John fashion show. And right up from the fashion show, there's like this VIP area, like an enclosed VIP suite. And it was wall to wall, everybody that you could even think of in the industry. Ja Rule was there. I mean, just there were so many people. It was just that thing. So I'm going to show you guys a picture that I have. And this is of me, Snoop, and P Diddy. I really don't know that guy in the middle, but those guys I do know. And I got to party with it. And I have smoked with Snoop. I can say that now that all of us are collectively, in the, that marijuana is legal. I can say that now. But yeah, it was an interesting night. It was a lot of fun. It was wild. I mean, but it was a fun night. Sean P. Diddy Combs, there was this one aspect of his personality where he was so vivacious and walking up to people, taking pictures. Look at him, he looked good. You know what I mean? That was him. This was him in the J-Lo days. Okay, he was dating J-Lo at that time. Well, guess what? Your girl Lolo caught him in the corner with another girl draped all over him, all the while he was on his little sky pager, just kind of looking and staring in the space, not really having a good time at his event, which I found very interesting. I didn't understand it at that time. He had everything that he could ever want, but he didn't look very happy to me. He looked like he was puzzled in some aspects while he was there. And I'm so glad I got to capture that moment, because now fast forward to all of these things that are happening now I can see why. He was, there's a lot going on in his life back in, you had, Tupac, Tupac's gone. He's probably still, if he had anything to do with that, how could you not feel shame? How could you not feel guilty about that? How could you go through life feeling you're cool when, like, two of the best hip hop artists, two of some of the best hip hop artists, and I have to include Rakim and quite others in there, but they're gone. And if he had something to do with it, and then whatever was going on in his relationship at that time, there was trouble in paradise, obviously. There was that whole club incident that happened, and with J-Lo, and they're after this whole Super Bowl weekend, their relationship went their separate ways shortly after that, for obvious reasons, because at that point, I'm sure, Benny Medina, her manager, who's been her manager forever, probably was like, look, you have to, if you want a career, you got to separate yourself from this guy. There's no ands for buts. Back in the day, you had to keep a really polished appearance and you had to stay quiet. You know, you weren't allowed to speak of certain things. If you were allowed in the club, you weren't allowed to talk about what the club did, if that makes sense. So there was a lot of that going on. But of course, if there was a lot of single mothers back in the day who were raising sons, and from men who didn't really participate in a man's life, and if he did, it wasn't really there wasn't real emotional support there. So a lot of these guys, they grow up like him, with distorted views of women, maybe also if him being gay, because now we can say P Diddy is in fact gay. Back then he couldn't express himself and be gay, so that would ruin back then it would have ruined his career, or so he thought. So, and who knows if he ever wanted to come out, the closet. Maybe, some people are comfortable being in the closet because they think people are going to look down on them. There was this shame around being gay back in the day, and especially when you're talking about 80s, 90s too. I mean, hell, people are just starting to get comfortable with the idea of same-sex relationships, only because we have it in front of us a lot on TV. We didn't have a lot of that back then, not at all. So like, I feel for people like Cassie, who was very young. That's another thing. The pressures of women back in the day, to be in the industry. I should know. I was a part of that industry, and I wanted to be have that life. And I'll never forget this time where I was on the bus with Snoop, and he had told me while I was sitting there, and it was like it was a show we did in Chicago, and I'll never forget it. And he said, I can make you famous. He says, you just got to follow what I do. What is that? I didn't, what? The way he said that, it didn't make me feel comfortable at all. Because to me, even back then, I was smart enough to know there was a heavy price to pay for that. Do you know what I mean? Nothing's ever given. And nobody's just going to show you the way without it costing you something. And for a lot of these folks in the industry who stayed quiet, it would cost them their livelihood. Some thought it would cost their lives. Some thought, I'll be blackballed in the industry. This is how they thought. Just looking back, this is exactly what they thought. And now that we have a more open dialogue about these matters, it's helping people now to come forward and tell their stories. So I really hope that justice prevails, not only for the victims, but also for everybody that's involved right now, even the people who did come forward, like Jaguar Rights, who came forward with these allegations long ago, and people were calling them crazy. You know what, Jaguar? I'll apologize to you from all of us, because you know what? I know it seems unbelievable, but with that kind of money and that kind of power, it can buy you a whole lot of whatever it is that your little heart desires. good or bad. So I hope that we all learn collectively from this. I hope we can, the takeaway from all this is all these legal proceedings unfold, but they not only impact Diddy's career, but also contribute to the essential conversations about abuse and power dynamics. Cassie Ventura's advocacy highlights the need to believe and support victims, emphasizing that no one should carry the weight of their trauma alone. This situation reminds us all of the importance of fostering a culture where abusive behavior is no longer tolerated. We'll be keeping a close eye on these developments, and we encourage our listeners to reflect on the implications of this case. So before we wrap this up, I want to encourage all of you to engage with this topic. What are your thoughts on the accountability of celebrities in similar situations? And how can we create safer environments for everyone in the industry? You know, please share your opinions on our social media platforms or in the comments sections of this YouTube video on Lolo Knows YouTube. So please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. This will be the first of many videos. If I'm not interviewing one of your favorite DJs and producers or artists, I will be taking on a topic and doing a mix after. But I also want to highlight some valuable domestic abuse resources for individuals seeking help. And one is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Okay, and their website is www.thehotline.org. The phone number is 800-799-7233. Okay, so they do provide 24/7 support, information, and resources for those affected by domestic violence. And then another one is called RAIN, which means Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. Their website is RAINN.org. Their phone number is 1-800-656-4673, and they offer support for survivors of sexual assault, including a national sexual assault hotline. Okay, number 3, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Website is ncadv.org. They provide resources, information on state coalitions, and advocacy for victims of domestic violence. Number 4, we got domesticshelters.org. Their website is domesticshelters.org. A comprehensive database of shelters and services for domestic violence survivors, including information on local resources. And then number 5, Women's Law. Website, womenslaw.org. They offer legal information and resources for survivors of domestic violence, including state-specific laws. And number 6, crisis support. Crisis text line, text home to 741-741, provides free 24/7 text support for individuals in crisis, including those facing domestic violence. Okay, so I am going to list these resources on to my website. I'm going to put them into a newsletter. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, please go to my website at loloknows.com. There's going to be a pop-up window, and you can put in your email right there. You can also go to the Linktree link and subscribe there as well in my bio on my Instagram and Facebook, Lolo Knows. All right, well, that'll do it for our show today on P Diddy, me, and this whole situation. What do you think? Leave me your thoughts. I appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode. Stay tuned for the mix. Peace love, and dance this out. Bye for now.